You probably pride yourself on being self-reliant. You handle your own problems, you keep things drama-free, and you certainly don't need anyone to rescue you. But there is a fine line between healthy independence and a psychological defense mechanism. It is the foundational science of how human beings form or avoid emotional bonds. In our first years of life, the repeated interactions we have with our caregivers create an internal working model. Think of it as a subconscious blueprint that teaches us whether the world is safe and whether other people can be relied on for support. What feels like highly logical, rational independence to you today is often an automated survival reflex, one programmed into your nervous system before you even had the vocabulary to describe it. The programming for this specific reflex usually begins with a caregiver who is consistently unavailable, rejecting, or unresponsive to a child's signals of distress. This environment forces a biological adaptation. Because crying or showing distress fails to bring comfort and might even trigger rejection, the infant learns to de-escalate their own emotions. They discover that the safest way to exist is to shut down their signaling system entirely. Decades later, this childhood adaptation matures into what clinical psychologists classify as the avoidant attachment style. It operates as a preemptive emotional shield. During interpersonal conflicts or high-stress situations, this system automatically deploys, putting up a wall the exact moment someone tries to get too close. Adult emotional avoidance functions as a highly calibrated, hyper-vigilant system designed to prevent the pain of rejection by ensuring nobody gets close enough to inflict it. This diagram shows Bartholomew's psychological model of attachment styles. It plots adult attachment onto a two-dimensional spectrum, with anxiety on the vertical axis and avoidance on the horizontal axis. Avoidant attachment actually splits into two distinct profiles. First is the dismissing avoidant profile. These individuals have a positive view of themselves, but a negative view of others. They pull away out of pride, actively dismissing the need for intimacy because they view themselves as entirely self-sufficient. Then there is the fearful avoidant profile. They carry a negative view of both themselves and others. They actually desire love and connection, but they pull away out of a paralyzing fear of being rejected or criticized. Whether the avoidance is driven by defensive pride or deep-seated fear, the interpersonal outcome remains identical: chronic isolation and an inability to maintain close bonds. Let's look at the 8 behavioral signs of avoidance in action. Sign number 1 is compulsive self-reliance. This is the habit of overrating your own independence and treating relationships as secondary to your career or personal achievements. Sign 2 is emotional suppression. When placed under intense stress, your immediate reflex is to actively deactivate their feelings and go completely numb. Sign 3, a refusal to seek help. By attempting to carry every professional and emotional burden alone, avoidant individuals often experience rapid burnout in the workplace and poorer results in clinical settings. Sign 4 is distancing under pressure. The exact moment a romantic partner or a manager tries to get close or offer support, you instinctively withdraw, either physically or emotionally. Sign 5, high sensitivity to criticism. For fearful avoidance specifically, routine feedback isn't just a comment on their work, it is interpreted as a catastrophic existential threat. Sign 6 is minimizing trauma. Psychologists call this sealing over, taking highly negative life events and pretending they had absolutely zero impact on your well-being. Sign 7, an ingrained lack of trust. It is the quiet, reflexive belief that other people are inherently unreliable and will inevitably fail you. And sign 8 is a severe discomfort with vulnerability. Interactions that demand deep, authentic emotional sharing trigger a suffocating wave of anxiety. This document is a summary of the clinical assessment tools researchers use to quantify these exact traits. By plotting variables like discomfort, fear, and treating relationships as secondary across different questionnaires, psychologists can accurately measure the severity of a patient's avoidance. Taken together, these 8 signs act as a comprehensive alarm system. The problem is, the system is malfunctioning. It repeatedly misidentifies intimacy as an active threat to your survival. That internal blueprint formed in infancy isn't permanent. The avoidant defense mechanism can be rewired through deliberate, consistent intervention. The work starts with daily strategies. It requires practicing self-awareness to catch and pause the urge to flee, and applying self-compassion to stop the spiral of shame when that withdrawal reflex kicks in anyway. In a clinical setting, professionals often use emotionally focused therapy, or EFT. It is a method designed to provide what is called a corrective emotional experience, a safe, consistent interaction that updates the old blueprint. A key part of this process is withdrawal re-engagement. The avoidant individual practices safely accessing their suppressed need for comfort and actually vocalizing it to a partner or therapist. Therapy aims to remove the paralyzing fear of dependence while leaving your healthy autonomy intact. When these avoidant patterns are successfully treated, the changes go beyond behavior. There is a documented physiological shift in how the nervous system adapts. This visualization shows what happens in an fMRI scan during attachment therapy. The brain's neural response to an incoming threat, the high-activity red and orange zones, actually alters, aggressively dampening into a calm state the moment the patient receives secure social support. This neurological calming significantly reduces the risk of internalizing disorders, like anxiety, and lowers the reliance on toxic coping mechanisms used to manage stress. Psychological security represents the neurological capacity to safely connect with others, providing a stable base from which to face the world.